I think it's more of our job to ask questions and figure out which questions are worthwhile, which ones haven't been answered, and if we could, strive to answer one of those questions, then you usually end up creating about 50 new questions at least, and it just grows exponentially in the most fantastic way. And so if we could focus perhaps on, as a community, maybe on what would be beneficial not only here, but in the larger
picture.
Yeah.
Definitely.
In the art world, and how do we fit into that? I think that is very important, like you said, that we're not trying to mimic Santa Fe or Chicago, New York, LA.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to do, we're just going to be ourselves. We can't help it, and it's obvious if we fake it. So,
is there any this question was posed at Natalie? Do you feel that there's anything that we do maybe a little bit more spiritual than other cities that would maybe set us apart in some way?
Oh,
kind of speak into it. That's the only one you got.
Okay.
Natalie's chancing there.
Well, I guess it depends on the individual artist and their, I guess, how they feel. Some people don't believe in anything, and it'll show in their work.
The majority of the artists in San Antonio, that they don't believe in anything?
No, I don't think so. But I guess as our group, I see it in our work, but I don't know.
I think San Antonio is more with the religion and history. I think San Antonio is more focused on it. I'm from upstate New York. They don't focus on that. They carve from pine trees. Like that's their art. It's so different. Like if we were to bring, like Fernando's piece there, they'd be so different about it because what they do up there, it's just different regions of the United States and all over the world. Everything's so different. I think San Antonio, yes, because the majority of I just think here it's a very cultural city. It really is, and that's a beautiful thing. And some people do focus
for people who maybe aren't from San Antonio, what does that mean, culture? Like, what do you mean by culture? Do you mean
it's different, like my work. I'm not from here.
Or what would you best say culture was? How would you, if you had to define culture, what would you define it as?
That's a really broad.
I don't think there's.
I mean, it's a combination of the history of the city, the architecture, the people, the things they like to eat.
Like say the architecture, for instance. Like the architecture. Yeah. Do things like chapels and stuff kind of speak about the belief systems in the culture?
The foundation, the roots.
Yeah, but that's kind of too basic.
Too basic?
I mean, what's unique about San Antonio is that we have a history that goes back to the colonial era.
What about like the mission?
Of Germans, Mexicans, Mexican Americans, Japanese. I mean, all these immigrants coming from different places from all over the world, settling here and building their style of architecture, in a sense created the look of the city today because we never got terribly modernized in the 60s and 70s. There was no money in the city.
Okay.
So we still have, we're kind of a historic-looking city.
I think, in essence, what art ends up being is what is exactly happening right here. This is art, and this becomes the most important thing. And then from this thing, other things happen. But unless this thing happens first, who cares? Once you get to a point that, you're busy doing whatever you're doing and you're in a room full of people that you don't know, that's fabulous and all, but the most important things are the ones where you're in old warehouses, you're in places that nobody's looking at, you're in places where you're excelling, trying to get the critic out, trying to get the museum curator out. And then once you hit a certain point, you get kind of bored. So by focusing on the tiny, you get the big. And you have to look at it that way. I think if you focus on simple, basic principles of people wanting to feel like they belong to something, and they feel like they're important, and they feel like they're empowered, and they have a voice, from that place you can grow large.
Absolutely.
I like the whole idea of focusing
Maybe say your name first, too, when you're talking.
Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
I like that.
I was going to say something else.
I like the idea that he was talking about focusing on the small. I would like for San Antonio to represent, like, family, like one big family.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I mean, it starts in the home. That's where everything comes from. That's where people come from, is from home. And I think San Antonio should be home to everyone. So I like what you said about how, you know, we want them to come here, you know. We want them to come home, you know, and focus on what we need to do.
Awesome, yeah. Does anybody else have...
I think when you're out of focus, sometimes the best artwork comes out. When you don't have a focus. Little, small, big, whatever it may be. I think when you don't have a focus, when you just don't know where you are, what's going on, I think that probably some of the best work comes out of that.
I think when
So
you're
I wouldn't say the best work. I mean, that's like saying in order to make good art, you have to be unfocused. No,
Yeah.
I would never in a million years
I think
think that.
I understand what you're saying in that sometimes it can leave you open to be more of a channel and just kind of
just go with it.
Yeah, you never know what
you're
going to find in that state of mind, and I do that occasionally, and sometimes that's when you surprise yourself.
Yeah.
And that can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of my work. I don't sketch out
there, but
before
that's
my
all
work. I don't do sketches. I don't do anything. I start and I come out with something just because I don't like being focused because I was so focused just going through what I had to go through in life. I had to be so focused. And that's really a lot of my art. I get a piece and I start. Yeah, you know, because I had to. And I had to focus for so long. And that's why I like doing my art, is because I don't focus. I start, I have an idea in my head, and it comes out 360 degrees different from what my original idea was.
I think inevitably work is about just, it actually comes from a very uncomfortable place. You know
Absolutely.
I mean? I think you create the world that you wish existed, not in the world that's actually around you. That's where pure creativity comes from. So I think, at least within my work, I mean, I'm creating the world that doesn't exist. I'm creating the world that I wish it was, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, when you, a lot of things start from discomfort, you know? Any kind of action happens from when you're not comfortable. And because you don't like the situation. And when you want to change the situation, you may not meet 100% of your goal. You'll probably only meet 20% of it. But had you not at least gone out for the 100%, you wouldn't have gotten 20.
But sometimes I don't even think you have a 100% goal. I don't think you have it. Like when you're there, I don't think you really have that 100% because you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So you just keep going. And
At least if you're going.
And I don't think you ever know if you actually reach it.
And also, new goals are developed.
Absolutely.
Like the new questions are created.
100%.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I got close to this, but it kind of opened me up to something else. And like, actually, this is really interesting. Maybe that's more important.
Out.
Fernando said something. I heard an utterance.
It was just a beer. Quick, catch it.
Jenny?
I'll take it. Hi, J.D. Moore. I think one thing that deals a lot with art is the fact that it has different evaluation of time and space and cognitive application of a person's attitude about life. There's a lot of people that look at it in order to complicate their lives. There's people that look at it in order to escape from their lives. And there's a lot of people that look at it to fulfill their lives. In my case, I look at it to fulfill my life in a way that it leaves an imprint of a part that cannot be seen as to who I am. And by doing something like that, I create my level of immortality. Since art is also full of doctrines, and people believe, you know, like religions, Islamic, Buddhism, Catholicism, everywhere, and yet everything's united in a common cause. Anybody that does art, from the duck in a pond to the most abstraction, that's one of the best of human endeavors. And if you trace out history, everything is based on the trajectory left over in art by other artists. So everybody dealing in art, especially if you do it as a cohesive, you're going to have a great group of people. And we're always labeled as crazy, but the beautiful thing about crazy, it really signifies enlightened